Most unnecessary EDC item people buy anyway. I don't know what it is, but it's like you have one thing, but then, oh, maybe this slightly specific, slightly different version of the same thing I already own will cure me.
Gerber Dime. For the first time in my entire EDC career, it's really nice and compact. It is very, very stiff out of the box. There's a ton of hot spots. Very uncomfortable to use out of the box. But oh my gosh,
Glowing review, yeah. Is there a benefit for everyday tasks of carrying a fixed blade versus a folder? Especially in the context of for everyday tasks, I don't really know the benefit of a fixed blade. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Carry the Way, the weekly podcast where we nerd out about all things EDC gear and maybe try to teach you a thing or two while we're at it. I'm Bernard, the founder of everydaycarry.com, and I'm joined by our editor, Mikey.
Hello.
So if you're new to the show, welcome. Here we talk about the latest in EDC gear, answer questions from the community, and review pocket dump submissions from our viewers. And if you've listened before, we just want to thank you so much for the support. Also, a reminder to give a thumbs up to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, as it really helps the channel. And we just want to say thanks for getting us to 1,000 subs. So as promised, we'll do giveaways on the show. We'll cook that up over the holiday break and kick it off in the new year. So until then, Mikey, why don't you start us off with a pocket check for today?
Yeah, I was actually going to bring up, did you buy anything for Black Friday that may have found its way into your rotation for this week's pocket check?
I mean, I probably wouldn't pocket carry it, but I do use it every day extensively, multiple times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I did get this is like my Grail fountain pen at some point. This is the did I show this on the podcast? Yeah, this is the stainless steel Lamy 2000 fountain
classic.
pen, but I got it in oblique medium, or no, oblique broad. Anyway, it's like a different type of nib, and it's ground in such a way that there is line variation. I'm already sounding really nerdy, but yeah, you just have to like rotate the pen, hold it a particular way, and then it will make the downstrokes thin and then the horizontal strokes broad. So when you write cursive or even printing, it adds like line variation, which looks cool because it can affect how the ink shows up on the page when you have a lighter stroke versus a broader, weather stroke. And it just adds so much character and texture to your text when you write. So this was really fun. And it's stainless steel, super heavy. So it's also very nice.
It sounds like you're describing a calligraphy pen, like an actual.
It's almost like that. Yeah, except you don't really have to add pressure, flex the nibs apart, like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Sounds like a very Bernard pen, like a very no, like a very there's a lot of utility that's not as obvious on the page, like on the features list. Like only when you start using it and then you find that extra utility, that sounds like a very Bernard type of feature for me. It reminds me of when you first met and you were describing the Sharbo X, the Zebra Sharbo X, and I'm like, I've never heard of a multi pen that sounds like this, or looks like this. So that's just bringing me back to that.
Okay. To that, well, I would have to say you're wrong then, because I wouldn't say that it adds utility. It is kind of an experiential thing because I already own the lighter weight, cheaper Macrolon version, which is the more iconic one. It's like a black body, and that one is, I would say, objectively better in performance in every way because it's lighter, so you don't fatigue as much. It's a more straightforward, more forgiving nib angle that you have to write at, and you don't really need line variation for any utilitarian purpose, right? That's all the optimizing for experience thing. And I think that makes sense when you go for a Grail and not just like a user, right? You just want a particular experience out of it, knowing like that
elevated, reliable core function.
Yeah. So once I have that, then I can get one of these and complement it with something that's a little bit different, add some variety, spice of life. I think we've talked about this before. So yeah, I got this. It was at least half off, I think.
Nice.
So this is normally like $330. I think I got it for like $147.
Oh, that's not bad
on Black Friday.
That's not bad, good. Considering. Good. Is it Lamy or Lamy? Lamy?
Lamy 2000.
Lamy, yeah. Considering they're kind of on the pricey end as well in general, so
yeah, they're always nice to grab them on regular Macrolon thing, but as the limited edition color, I think it's like $600. Like you could get custom pens at that point. But
I know.
Anyway, yeah, that's the main pickup I got.
Yeah, I got a couple of interesting ones. The main one is covering what I'm calling my watch number 2, which is my evening watch for high visibility and just more rugged because it's my dog walking watch. It's my
Yeah,
evening
yeah.
watch. So I think I mentioned this to you offline. I picked up, this is the Casio G-Shock GBD 200 in with
Crisp.
the memory and pixel display, and like the video and the photos don't do this justice at all. It is incredibly visible, like even in low
Mm-hmm.
light, even without hitting the LED lights.
Yeah,
But I do wish it was still like the electroluminescent backlight, because
yeah.
the LEDs don't do a good job of
Evenly.
yeah, evenly.
Yeah.
But learning my lesson from the Apple Watch, I turned off notifications for this. I'm only using it as a nice display, like just to experience the new display, and also the fact that it has a vibrating alarm, which is like one of the
Oh,
most
it
useful.
does?
Yeah, it has a, yeah,
Oh,
you can set,
okay. Yeah.
it has Bluetooth, so I can automatically set the time. You can set the alarms on the phone, and then the vibration is really really strong. So that it's almost as good as the Apple Watch to wake me up when I need to
Mm-hmm.
set an alarm. So this is my
Nice.
going to sleep watch, is my evening watch. So covering my bases there. And just for a fun thing, I picked up one of the Squid trainers. This is the original Squiddy from Squid
Mm-hmm.
Industries. This is a Balisong trainer. I'm not going to flip it and embarrass myself on camera, but
You already do that.
I know these
Sorry.
routinely go on sale. I wanted to try picking up learning it again, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so these routinely go on sale. They're not very expensive. The flipping experience is fantastic, and yeah, it's just wanting to add one more fun thing. I have a couple of other things, but maybe in the course of this episode, I'll talk about the
Okay.
other things. Yeah.
But you gotta let the listeners know what deal did you get on them. The deal get is like the sweetest part of Black Friday pickups.
I believe I didn't get a deal on this because I opted to look for a 1JF, which is the Japan domestic version.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know, for no reason at all. I wanted the Japan exclusive um, version
Uh-huh.
of this
So you
watch,
paid
but
the JDM tax.
I did. I paid the JDN
Yeah.
tax.
There's like Thing and then there's Thing Japan. And you're like,
Exactly.
I will pay for yeah.
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 And I did get, I think this was 30% off during Black Friday. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so lost a little, gained a little, lost a little, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's the main, those are the main pickups from Black Friday. I think I have a few other stuff on the way, but these are the ones that are on hand at the moment. Yeah.
I think we
Hmm.
did good, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't spend like massive amounts on, well, I did spend massive amounts on little things. When I calculated all of it, I'm like, okay, that's, I gotta stop now.
Yeah. And okay, and the thing is, I will say this pen has been on my list for several years. Like
Mm,
maybe 5+ years that I wanted this, and then it was like finally on sale and I caught it in time. So it wasn't like too much of an impulse buy. So I'm pretty happy with this. The only risk I took was that the one that was in stock was kind of like a nib grind that I hadn't used, that oblique that I was talking about,
mhm.
but I figured out how to use it and it's fine now. When I first got it, I didn't know how. It's like, it's defective. It doesn't write. It's because I didn't realize you have to tilt the pen. But anyway,
Nice. Yeah, and
it's just good to finally get a deal on something you actually knew you wanted,
I
instead
know.
of, you know what I mean? Instead of just like, oh, this thing is on sale. I wasn't interested in it, but now I am. And then like it feels weird to like try to navigate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and justify it and
So
rationalize it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this watch
So
has been on my list since it came out because the MIP display is something I've really been wanting to check out. What the funny thing is about EDC lists is you remove one off your list and then three somehow find their way back onto the list. So
yeah.
yeah, kind of annoying when that happens, but yeah, nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Black Friday's evil.
So then, did you add anything else that wasn't a Black Friday cop to your carry?
Yes, I did get invited into a new local community for EDC stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then I caught one of the flashlights I've been wanting to get for at least 3 years now. I got the Surefire backup. This is 400 lumens, Surefire quality, still the best anodizing I've ever felt from flashlights. And somebody gave me a good deal on it, and took advantage of it thanks to that group. And I'm kind of participating in it, and it's nice seeing. I don't want to sound like super elitist, but it's fun seeing stuff that became popular in EDC, like maybe
Before,
three.
yeah, that you had before it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
okay,
I don't
okay.
want to say it that
If you
way.
know, you know. See, now you know how it feels when you do that to me, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
But yeah, it is like it's just I'm noticing the trends that have I've seen in the Western side of things since I'm more
okay.
part of that community. and then it's starting to sweep through the local guys. Not saying
That's
that
cool.
they're catching up, but it's just interesting that the old trends are happening even like organically, basically.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's fun to see.
Wait, how
So
big is
yeah.
that group?
Oh gosh, that group is about 30,000 members locally.
Locally? Like,
Locally,
no. So
like
if do you guys meet up?
they the day I joined was 2 days after they did the like the Cebu meetup, and they had like awesome videos.
Uh
They had
huh.
like a whole Christmas party event, and I joined like 2 days after that. And I'm like,
Ah.
oh, you missed it. You just missed it.
Uh
So I said,
huh.
I'm like, okay, I'll catch up on the next one. So, but
Okay.
it is a pretty big group. I'm pretty sure it's about 30,000 people. So yeah,
Okay, that's cool. I just like to hear about local communities coming out of a shared passion for EDC. I think that's sick.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I haven't
definitely.
looked around for that
And then
personally.
when I joined, I said like I made a welcome post. I'm like, hey, I watched Carried Away. You guys are cool. Okay, cool.
Oh, sick.
Oh, sick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Shout outs to that
Shout
Cebu
outs. No, no,
yeah group.
it's the
Okay.
Philippine Flashlights. Philippine Flashlight Geeks is the name of the group. So shout
That
out to
is
them.
so specific. Like it's
P
okay. Yeah.
PFG. There you go.
Okay, cool. So shout outs to them.
Yeah. Shout
Nice.
outs.
Okay, so you got the Surefire E1B.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And I got a Gerber dime for the first time in
Oh
my
yeah,
entire
finally.
EDC
Yeah.
career. I got a Gerber dime, and it's actually pretty good. What do you know? The fact that it's been around for about 10 plus
Mm-hmm.
years. It's really sick. It's really nice and compact. It is very, very stiff out of the box. There's a ton of hot spots. Very uncomfortable to use out of the box. But oh my gosh,
Glowing
it's
review. Yeah. But it's
glowing
like a
review.
few bucks, yeah.
Yeah, it's a few bucks. I think it
Yeah.
was $20 when it came out. When I picked it up. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, really nice small complement of tools. The size is fantastic. Stainless steel, but it's still very light. It's a very handy, iconic bottle opener at the
Yeah,
corner
yeah.
here. And yeah, I don't know why I've put off holding one of these for so long, but I'm glad I do now. And yeah, so I have one new watch and a light from 5 years ago and a multi-tool from 10 years ago, which is,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll probably come across, there's a question later on in the Q&A that's going to
Mm-hmm.
touch on upon, that's going to touch on about older gear and newer versus
Yeah.
newer gear. But yeah, so I thought it would be nice to bring about like the new old stock that, that came through.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, that's it for me for now. For
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
For now. Okay. I will Uno reverse myself and ask,
Mm.
oh, Bernard, what are you adding to your pocket check? Well, I did use the what is this called again? The
The Martin.
Vosti
The Martin.
Martin. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The Vosti Martin on my last like food bank volunteering shift. Yeah. So I was using this helping people open up boxes and like pallets and stuff.
Has your mind changed about it?
Um wait, what did I say? Oh yeah, that it's like kind of boring because it's not like weird enough, but it gets the job done, you know? Like when you're actually doing the thing, like you forget all that stuff. And you're just like, oh yeah, this works well, and it's also grippy, which is good because I'm using my gloves and stuff. But I did notice that because I was wearing my like jeans, like my heavier duty jeans, because I'm on the job or whatever. You're right that the non-recessed clip screws do
Snags.
catch the lip. Yeah,
Yes.
so once the clip is in, it is super deep and out of the way, and it's like still easy to retrieve. But then once every so often, it does snag on thicker jeans. So
Right, right.
yeah, just gotta keep it real there. But I do like the texture. The oversized thumb stud does make it easy to use with gloves and stuff like that. So this one was good. And then another addition, not to my full everyday carry, but since I go to the gym every day, it's basically like an everyday carry. One of my friends from the gym, she made me this little stuff sack out of like a
Oh,
Technicolor
sick.
nylon in like she in the colors that she thinks I would like, and she was super right. It's like white ripstop nylon with like a high vis neon.
I know this guy
Uh,
for 10 years and I don't know what he likes, and then some girl at the gym gets
well,
it right the first time.
she did ask like what my favorite colors were, and I was like,
Okay. Fair,
I,
fair.
I usually wear white t-shirts and I like teal or like pink or whatever. And then she made that, and then so this stuff sack, like I just use it for random things. So I had my resistance bands in here when I was like working on my PT stuff, but then it's just like in a little stuff sack. So it's really cool, and it got me thinking. Bonus question round now. It's like, have people ever gifted you EDC stuff, and especially if it's like handmade? And I know that like brands give us stuff, but that's not really what I'm talking about. It's like, can people get you gifts in the EDC world as kind of like an authority on EDC space? I feel like for me, it makes it impossible to get me gifts. And then I also, because of that, I know my experience. I'm just like, I try to not even attempt to get nerds gifts because, yeah, they're so
They're
picky. I
getting
don't
the
know.
gift card.
Uh huh.
They're getting the Steam credit. They're getting the gift card.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
To answer your question, I would love to receive, if it were something EDC related, it would be interesting if somebody picked up on something I said on the show or something I wrote, and
Mm-hmm.
then, or something super sentimental like an engraved watch. Like anybody can
Yeah.
give a watch, but a watch with a message and a thoughtful one
Mm.
at that, I think
Mm-hmm.
that reminds me. There was this particular scene in the show Succession, the HBO show Succession, where these are ultra rich billionaires, right? But then one of the characters, he received a watch from his kid, and then he couldn't find it in the sea of like these gifts at his birthday party. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like it was the most important gift to him because it was like specifically for him. It was a really thoughtful gift. It wasn't just something
Yeah.
somebody bought off of the rack.
Yeah.
Just that really thoughtful gesture, and yeah, that would be really sick. Just a quick story. Last Christmas, some just the husband of my cousin, like a really what do you call far removed member of my
Yeah.
family, knows me that I'm into EDC. I've given him some EDC stuff over the years. Also, he gave me a knife. It was the Spyderco Native 5,
Oh,
which is
solid. Yeah.
really sick. Number one, but what the thing is, I started EDC. My first EDC knife was a Native 3, so it kind
Mm.
of like there was that whole full circle, and I was telling him about it, and I was telling him like this is the first time I've gotten. I believe it is the first time somebody actually gave me a knife that wasn't from like a brand, and it
Nice.
just happened to be like a super meaningful one that was like part of my EDC lore. So I was telling him I really appreciate it, and that's definitely going to be one of like the keepers for sure in the permanent collection. So
Cool.
even if it's not the most flashy or expensive knife out there, just that tie into the origin story and all of that, yeah, really appreciate that. So
Yeah.
yeah, just
Very thoughtful.
roundabout way to
Yeah.
answer your question of what do you
Yeah.
get an EDC guy. Um, Play something meaningful, something thoughtful, and something maybe adjacent to part of their carry history or their gear history, I think would be appreciated.
Yeah, or something from the holiday gift guide on everydaycarry.com that Mikey wrote. There's probably good suggestions in there. Anyway, that wasn't like an elaborate setup for me to show our own content or whatever. It is just by the time this episode is coming out, it's like the week of Christmas. So I think
Mhm.
we're just kind of in that mood. It's just like thinking about gifts and generosity and the holidays and stuff like
Trying to
that.
be
So
more grateful for stuff.
yeah. And then I think this will play into a question later on, but I did like give away a Leatherman, one of my favorite Leathermans, to somebody in my engineering club because she just
Oh,
didn't have a
nice.
knife. And that, it's like, you just, yeah, it's cool. Like gifts,
And isn't it
love them.
cool
Yeah.
when like if both of us specifically can give away like really cool stuff? That's such a good
Yeah.
feeling too.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
then people, yeah, I get to feel like Santa Claus a lot of the time. It's really fun.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. I think that covers the pocket check section. So we'll jump into the news real quick, but before that, we'll do a quick ad read from today's sponsor. So, thanks to our parent company Ridge for sponsoring today's episode. Ridge is best known for their premium minimalist metal EDC wallets with RFID blocking technology and a lifetime warranty. But they make all sorts of EDC gear these days, like EDC knives, key organizers, wedding bands, machine pens, backpacks, and hardshell luggage too. I use their products every day, and so do a ton of other people with over 50,000 5-star reviews. They make gear in quality materials like carbon fiber and titanium in a bunch of matching colors and designs. But if metal wallets aren't your thing, they also launched a collection of soft leather goods too. So you can try them out with a 99-day risk-free trial to see if you like them. Upgrade your EDC with Ridge at ridge.com/carrytheway for 10% off your order. It supports the show, and thanks again to Ridge for keeping the lights on here. Okay, so we're gonna jump into our news cycle for the week, and let's kick it off here.
Yeah,
So
first
what
on
do
the
we got here?
docket is after their mega run with the Milita. Remember during the Black Friday, they released a
Yeah.
whole bunch of Milita models. Kizer
Hmm.
reached out and they were saying, we have a bunch of new stuff. And I took a look and like, whoa, this is really sick. I found this really sick. It's giving
Okay.
me it's giving me a vibe of like a bird, like the hawk. It's named the Kizer Hawk. It's giving me
Hmm.
that kind of silhouette, but also kind of like samurai-ish holes on the handle on the
Uh,
one on the show side, and then there's like some nice texture on the handles on the
yeah.
sorry on the clip side. So I thought
How
it
do you
was a
go?
really
How do you go from a hawk to a samurai sword? Is that what you said?
yeah. You know how the samurai swords have that knot, the way the handle is wrapped with rope. That's just the holes just
Oh,
kind of give me that pattern of
oh, I get it. I get it now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
thought that was a really sick design. Even the colors are really cool. I think they sent me the black one, but I thought, could this be a Bernard knife? I don't know. What's your thought on this one?
Resounding no. Resounding
Okay,
no. No
0 for
way,
10 apparently. 0 for 10. Holy crap! That is
dude. This thing is gigantic,
okay.
bro.
I did not check the specs before putting this
Yeah.
in the news.
No,
Oh my
dude. I was
goodness,
like, yeah. This is a bit. Yeah,
that is much. That is,
yeah.
I think even for me, that is a bit much.
Like I like things a little bit smaller, but like, dude, this is quite large. This
That
is
is
quite large.
a
So let's jump into the specs just for people to get some
sure.
context here. Um, this is does it say? Yeah, 3.4-inch blade length, but it's
Okay,
an S45VN and it's a
okay.
titanium handle. And the titanium has not it's actually even more micro milled than
Mm,
the Vosid Marden. So it's an
yeah.
even finer like stripe texture to it.
Mhm.
And then on the back it has this frag like, right, you would call that kind of frag like
It's actually
pattern.
reminding me of a bird collar feather type. I don't know. I'm getting it's reminding me of that look of a bird's feathers around the neck. That just like that
Yes.
spread pattern. So I guess kind of playing
Okay.
into the
Mm-hmm.
hawk namesake as well. But yeah, very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it weren't for the size, what do you think of the design?
Not
No.
really. Not
not
really to my
resonating
taste.
not
No.
resonating with you so far.
No. Proportionally, okay. I don't want to like. This is just my opinion, right? To taste.
Mm,
I'm sure. Like, I think this is a cool knife design, but not my taste. That's all. I just want
mm.
to preface there before people are like, Bernard's a hater, like hating on this beautiful knife design. It's just not to
Right,
me,
right.
to my taste. I think proportionally, like the blade is just really big and I don't know. It lacks a lot of the angularity and like kind of brutalist type of
Mm,
look that I like in my knives. There's a lot of this that's like more organic feeling,
mm,
and there's a lot going on, so it's not as minimalist. And what I mean
mm,
by that is like you have a thumb hole, but the thumb hole itself already has like multiple curves in it, and it's huge. It's like over half the length of the blade itself, right?
right, right.
And then you have like a brass pivot collar detail, but then you also have some kind of skeletonization in the handle, but they're
Mm.
not perfect circles. They're like varying oblong shapes, not oblong, but like there's
It's kind of
some
like scalloped.
eccentric, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some of that to it, and then you have like a lanyard hole, but then you have this like textured backspacer that, and the backspacer textures like the what's it called? The ridges are like big, right? So
Mm.
and then you have this whole section here with the frag pattern type thing. It's just like a lot going on, just
It
different
is. Yeah.
contrasts of textures and shapes. And even of those shapes, the shapes are proportionally quite large. So it is like a very not dramatic, but
Substantial.
so
It's a
yeah,
substantial
substantial.
knife.
Like all the design elements are kind of loud rather
Mm.
than using things like negative space or restraint, those types of things. Those speak to me more than this. I feel like there are a lot of visual elements going on. But anyway, that's enough of
Who's
my opinion.
did they list the designer? so I can warn him
Um,
about you coming.
no, no, no.
So-
It was listed, not somebody that I remember. Yeah, or sorry, recognized in a lot of other ones. Carlos Elsner.
okay,
So
yeah.
I'm sure there's like cool inspiration for this particular design
Mm-hmm.
that I don't have the full context to. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, my opinion aside, let's talk about what actually makes this knife this knife. So we talked about the 3.4-inch blade, um, S45VN steel, and the titanium handles with a bunch of different textures and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
there's also what they call. I would like you, Mikey, to pronounce this on stream.
Okay.
This.
Snapecho?
Nice try. Okay.
Snap
Uh,
Echo.
Snap Echo.
Snap
Yeah.
Echo.
The Snape
Snap
Cho system. Yeah. So
Snapecho.
there's a yes, the Snap Echo system. That's just like hard to pronounce if you're not like because there's no space. Anyway, it has a dual stop pin with a detent pillar here like this, and I guess it stops the knife when it's closing in one way with one pin, and then stops the knife with another pin when it's opening. So it just has dual stop pins. And they
Mm-hmm.
say that like this makes it a lot stronger in terms of lockup. So I
Mm-hmm.
could see that, but I just thought that was interesting because I don't think I've seen a dual stop pin design anywhere.
Yeah, I haven't seen one either.
Yeah,
How is the action on it? How does it
it's
feel
good.
operating it? Okay.
No, it's good. It's good. It has do they show it? There's like double layer bearings in the pivot.
Okay.
Maybe they don't show it.
And I guess also the size lends itself to
Oh,
having a
here,
good
yeah.
action.
Um,
Ooh, nice. I
yeah.
like I like when they post the blown
Yeah,
up
so you can see the
versions.
inner working.
Yeah.
And then this is this liner lock with the snap ecosystem. Um, but yeah, for a bigger knife like this, the deployment is pretty satisfying and easy. It has a rear flipper tab that's jimped, right? And it's like fairly proud, so it comes out. But also with the liner lock, the weight of everything, the
Mhm.
closing action is like kind of drop shutty. If yeah,
Nice.
and because of this gigantic thumb hole, it's easy to reverse
Reverse flight.
flick. Yeah, it's if I don't miss it, it's pretty easy. Yeah, so it kind of flies out.
I don't know. There's something I really, for just my opinion this time, I really like the design of it. I do agree though that it is doing a lot. If it was more
Mm-hmm.
consistent with how it was doing its lines, how it was doing its curves, if it wasn't doing multiple textures at once, it could have been if it they just smooth it out and just had the micro milling or just like part frag have the frag pattern on
Mm,
both sides just to have some symmetry. It might have um, unified the design a little bit, but yeah, the mixed textures, the mixed cutouts. It's also doing stuff with different colors with the pivot color and the lanyard hole on the and
yeah.
the backspacer. It is doing a lot. But if I don't know, every time I look at it, I really like how it looks, and
Okay.
I'm excited to get it in hand to give it a go. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and then you got the black one.
I did get the black one. Yeah.
Okay, so this one, the black one. Okay, sorry. Going back to the one that I hadn't showed on camera, that one's 169. So
Mhm,
that's natural titanium with S45VN, and then the
mhm.
one that you would get is an M390
Polished
polished,
DLC.
yeah, in black
Oh,
titanium.
interesting. Yeah,
I think
Kizer
this
has
one.
been.
Sorry, I was just gonna say this one because it's all black. I think it looks a little bit more cohesive.
Mhm.
So
And also shout outs to Kizer because their polished DLC. They have done a few models with the polished DLC and they're doing it really, really well. It looks like that.
mhm.
It's not it's very, very impressive when you see it in person. It's not like
Yeah.
your usual PVD or black wash coated blades. When you see this polished DLC in person, it's really, really nice. A
Mhm.
nice it's a nice thing that Kaiser's been doing for their blackout blade. So and plus it adds DLC. An additional layer of corrosion resistance. It's also
Right.
scratch resistant. It's not gonna scratch up as much like a black wash blade would or just like a PVD coated blade. So yeah, if you're looking for a blackout blade, check out Kaiser's polished DLCs. They have a Militao one. They have a Veratus also, I think, with polished DLC.
Mhm.
And I think this is the latest in that line of polished DLC blades, which is really, really sick. Yeah.
I think it looks a lot better in black.
Think so? I kind of
I
like.
think
I
it.
was actually waffling between the black and the titanium one.
Mm.
I don't
I
know. I
usually
just like
don't like all black stuff, but
yeah,
yeah, I think it looks better in black.
dual wielding them would be sick. Two hawks.
Two hawks. Okay.
Two hawks.
Yeah. So we're gonna go from a hawk to a phoenix.
Nice.
Damn. All right.
Dang.
Yeah. So this is the a much cheaper EDC item. So this is like a tenth of the price. This is the Fenix Silvglow limited edition AAA
Mm.
flashlight. All right.
So
So
we're
it does come in natural silver, which I don't
oh,
think is actually like silver, like the element silver. I think it's just the color.
right.
And then this cool anodized color blast.
Yeah, if they're anodizing it in that color, it's probably aluminum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a reason I put this in the news because this is another piece of like Mikey lore. The very,
Mm.
very first titanium flashlight I owned was the Fenix E05 in a limited edition titanium. And it looks almost exactly like this. I
Yeah.
actually still have that light from maybe 12 years ago now. I still remember the exact store, the kind of day it was when I bought it. I was really, really excited. It was a twisty titanium flashlight, the original E05. And that's also a very important lesson to learn that a twisty titanium flashlight is a terrible flashlight
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
because of how the titanium as a material is galling,
It's
where
gritty.
it's very, very gritty. I've cleaned it, re-oiled it so many times over the years. I've worn it in so much, but still to this day, it's one of the grittiest flashlight experiences I've ever experienced. But I
Mm-hmm.
do appreciate it for its place in my flashlight journey because it was the very, very first flashlight I actually splurged on because it was titanium. And I still remember walking into the store, seeing it in the display, and walking out of it and being really excited until I had to turn it on, and then that kind of temper the excitement a little bit. But yeah, I
Yeah.
still love like the original Phoenix design is kind of like super classic. That original E05, yeah,
Yeah. I don't know if people remember the E05, but it's basically a triple A
twisty.
aluminum twisty keychain light. But didn't it have not a reflector, but just an exposed like 5 millimeter bulb or so, or not 5 millimeter, but just like a bulb? Or was that the E01?
I think that's E01. I think the E02 had the reflector in it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just remember like early EDC days. Yeah, it was I think single mode also, and like not the best beam
Mm.
profile optics just generally, not very bright. But at that time, the sentiment was just like, yeah, I just want a bomb-proof thing to keep on my keys, and if it works and that's good. There was no expectation of like, oh, it needs to have like
Super nice.
side lights that are high CRI and UV and red sirens, and it needs to glow in the dark, and it needs to be USB-C rechargeable. That was like so much to ask for back then. Like those
Simpler
technologies didn't
times.
exist. I know, it's crazy.
You just
Um,
wanted a reliable keychain flashlight. That was the
yeah,
qualification. You weren't
yeah,
nerding out over the tint, over the materials,
yeah,
over anodizing. And 10
yeah.
years later, here we are.
And you'd be
Yeah,
lucky if they came in different colors other than black or gray.
exactly right.
Like if
Yeah.
there's like a purple one, it's like, oh, sick, limited edition purple or
Limited
something.
edition. Two
Yeah,
sizes of O rings, two sizes
yeah,
of keychain split rings. Oh, sick.
yeah.
Value.
Yeah, so that was back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
But this is made of stainless steel, and it does come in two colors. So you just have like the standard like steel color, and then this cool rainbow one. But then let's talk about its actual specs and operation. So we mentioned it's twisty. They have like this cool animation here that kind of shows how that works.
Oh, that's pretty
But
sick.
interestingly, it does have three modes, right?
Mm.
So there's a low, medium, and high. But max lumens using an what is it, SST12? SST12 neutral white LED though, so it probably looks a little bit better.
Nice.
It's still only 100 lumens, which to us, that's plenty.
Plenty.
But for
Plenty.
a lot of people, they're like, only 100 lumens out of a single AAA battery. That's weak. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
There's actually very the market for AAA and AA flashlights is kind of shrinking. It's very few
Yeah.
really good options, like really easy recommendable options these days. There's the standard OLED i3T, i5T stuff. There's the like the streamlights, of course. There's a lot of since everybody's moved to the built-in battery kind of
Mm-hmm.
flashlights. that offer more power and convenience of rechargeability. Like
Yeah.
AAA flashlights have gone by the wayside, and also good ones are becoming increasingly hard to find and recommend. So it was a nice, like, seeing an old friend with this anniversary
Hmm.
edition Phoenix. And yeah, to this day, Phoenix, I would recommend it in a heartbeat. Like, it's one of those brands, like, somebody looking
Yeah.
for like a simple, easy, efficient, bomb-proof flashlight. Phoenix, just choose whatever is within budget or looks cool to you. They're probably going to be very reliable.
Yeah. They've been doing this forever, you know?
True.
Like,
Yeah. From the
so,
start.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
like I said,
I
like
would
the
say, uh-huh.
yeah, like the EO5, like I said, was 12 years ago now,
Yeah.
and Phoenix was already around back then, killing it. So yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that they make like the most innovative or like, cutting edge kind of stuff. They're not really on that, but they're always like a little bit later, but just like kind of reliable, you
Mm,
know? Yeah. So I feel like maybe not for the super enthusiast, but somebody who's just like generally into EDC and they don't really care about the latest and greatest or that kind of stuff. I think Phoenix is a solid brand to go with. But
yeah, for
um,
sure.
cool. And then let's do one more piece of news here. Let's do one from our friends at aroundsquare. Our
Yes.
favorite knife from them. Oh, actually, this is their only knife, but one of our favorite knives, just generally, the
Yeah.
base knife, originally came in a thicker Tanto blade. Now
Hmm.
available or soon available.
Hmm.
Actually, probably sold out by the time this video airs. If I'm
Yeah.
gonna be
Okay.
real.
So I was speaking with Matt offline. I was asking him
Okay.
what are the stocks going to be like for this, because he does mention in the drop preview for this that
Uh
he
huh.
has been trying to get restocks of the original Tanto one, and then he just placed an order for like this new drop point one.
Yeah, this is
And
drop point.
yeah, so it's he also designed it to be 0.5 millimeters thinner to
Thinner.
make it a bit
Yes.
more slicey. And it's now realizing his vision of, he was trying to do his own version of the small Sabenza.
Sabenza, yeah.
Yeah, so this is kind of very his own design, but also along the, you can clearly see the design DNA, the inspiration from the old, the
Mm-hmm.
or well, not the old, from the small Sabenza. And yeah, he designed it. This one is going to be a bit more
Look at
slicey.
these. Uh-huh. Sorry.
And he did say that there is much more stock of it this time around, because he wasn't expecting how the
The
reception for the
response.
original
Yeah.
Tantos was going to be. So he was a bit more prepared for this one. So hopefully by the time this comes out, it's going to still be in stock. As of recording, it is going to come out today. So there is
Oh,
about
okay.
a 2 week grace period when this comes out. But yeah, keep an eye.
Okay.
It's going to be one of those things that he's going to constantly keep in stock anyway. So it's going to be part of like the permanent rotation. So given the response to the knife, so yeah, if you can't
Are
catch it
are you
now,
gonna pick one up, Mikey?
yes, I am. Yeah,
Oh. Are you gonna get clip or no clip?
I'm gonna get clip this time because I got the Tanto one without the clip.
Yeah,
So I'm
see,
gonna,
I
yeah.
I might get man, I don't need this thing. But I was just thinking like how this particular knife, when you first sent it to me, no offense to Matt, but I was like,
You were not impressed.
I was
It
not
was,
impressed.
you are checked out immediately when
Dude,
that
to be
arrived.
honest, I was not impressed. And I don't know why. I think it just looked like a squared off rectangle to me. And I thought it's like, okay, where's the design value? But then once you actually hold it in hand and you look at like every radius and chamfer and the space of how all the space on such a small knife is actually used, then you're like, okay, actually they kind of cooked.
Yeah.
Like this is actually pretty impressive. And it is aesthetically pleasing and it makes sense in the hand. And it ends up becoming my go-to
Same.
pouch knife. I
And it's so
wasn't
light
expecting it.
too. It's so light
Yeah.
too that you just throw it into anywhere. You can throw it in a pocket. I put it in all of my slings when I'm going.
Yeah.
If I can't think of, if I'm not ready to grab something off the shelf, it's this is the one that's already like by the side of my desk. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to try the Slicier drop point. I think it looks. I think it's the realization of this design
Yeah. I
versus the Tanto. Yeah.
just given how much I like the Tonto version, I honestly don't really use it for its Tonto. If anything, this is probably better that for what I would use it for on a daily basis as a pouch knife.
You
So
know what's
yeah,
funny? The Tanto of this knife is what got me around to Tantos, because
Oh,
you know
okay.
how there's a point like in the middle of the blade because of the
Yeah,
angle
here.
in the end. It's how Matt described it, that you don't need to bend the knife to get a point into whatever you're trying to cut into.
Like
And when I
tape or
tried,
something, you just plop it in
yeah,
there. Yeah.
you just poke it with that corner of that edge, and that made it so much
Hmm.
easier to cut open through boxes. And that made me come around to like the American Tanto. So
Okay.
I do appreciate it.
Uh,
I did not like Tantos at all. Like American Tantos, I did not like that design at all completely until, same with you, until I got it in
uh-huh.
hand. I'm like, ah, this is pretty cool. And
Yeah.
then it became one of my most used knives this year. And yeah.
Yeah. Mikey, did Matt tell you what price is on this?
Ooh, good question. I think it's gonna be the same as the old one. Let
Okay.
me.
Because
I
this is not a cheap like knife, most
I
likely.
don't think he has announced what the price is, but the last one
Okay.
was 230, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And then I
Yeah.
did we get a discount for readers? I don't know. Maybe he can do that. He's really generous when it comes to those things where when he can be. So
Yeah.
love around square for that.
Yeah.
Knife that honestly surprised me, impressed me. So I am also thinking about getting this one.
Yeah. I am.
Cool.
I've asked him to set aside one for me. I'm gonna grab one from him. I mean, I'm
Nice.
abusing my friend privileges.
Okay.
Just, I don't want to be part of the big drop. Can you just set one aside for me? So thanks, Matt, in
No,
advance.
I try. I try to actually go to war with the other round square
Oh.
fans, and I fail every time. I didn't get the beads that I wanted last time because they sold out like instantly. But oh well. Okay, cool. So I think that will wrap it up for our news. We can jump into our Q&A section
Nice.
and let's jump into these. So what do we want to start with here?
Our old friend.
I think we should start with Francisco one more time. So they ask, your favorite EDC item is discontinued. Go used or start a search for an alternative.
Hmm.
Hmm.
What's your answer for this?
What is my answer for this? I think it depends. Just because if it's something that I use and I'm not really too attached to the idea of it being a part of a collection or an archive of the things that I own and kind of represent my taste in that way, I'll just get
Hmm.
the alternative, right?
Right. Right.
Just like because I'm also of the mind like if you need a tool, just buy the thing now and then start doing the thing that you needed it to do, rather
Yeah.
than wait for one to come back in stock or the latest and greatest or oh there's going to be an upgrade. And usually this is around like tech, I would say.
Hmm.
But if it's like an EDC item and like say for example, if I lost my Leatherman free P2, I would just get the arc,
Right.
instead of just
Right.
like try something like that.
Yeah. True.
So I would just do that. But if it's a collectible thing, then and it's vintage already or something like that, or a very specific reason to have it, then I would go use, and it would cause a lot of suffering, I think, in that pursuit. And that's
Oh
that's
yeah.
how most of my hobbies are. So that's how like watches have been, tech has been, audio, cameras, that sort of thing, clothes even. It's like
Hmm.
there's usually some kind of design that was only available in the past. But when it comes to EDC, I don't think I've actually ever gone back and bought something from the past that I wanted. Like
Hmm.
I don't think I bought like my old rebought my first Seiko or something.
Right.
If
Right.
I just lost it, I just lost it.
Right.
But yeah, and knives either. Oh yeah, and to continue that story from my earlier point in the pocket check like gift giving thing, that was
Mhm.
the Leatherman Juice S2 that I gave
Oh,
away.
okay.
My
Cool.
favorite Leatherman discontinued, and now I just don't have one of those. I just get whatever the newer Leatherman is. Yeah.
Nice.
What would you do?
I've gone both ways. Like during the lockdown, I tracked down. That's when I tracked down the Seiko Monster again. My
Oh, that's
watch.
true. Yeah.
That's when I tracked down and paid very pricily for the Benchmade 42, just because I needed to have one. I had scarred groups for a Sunwayman V10, uh, the titanium rotary
Mm-hmm,
flashlight that I've
mm-hmm.
always wanted. I've talked about in the podcast before. Those four things in particular, I've tracked down. But like you said, it's basically for the collection. Those are very iconic ones to me, and stuff that were still within reach for me to try and rebuy or to try to track down. I'm not bending over backwards to track down a Benjamin Anthem like for example,
Yeah.
or I'm not gonna try and track down a vintage Submariner just because I read it in my favorite book or something. So
Hmm.
I do have some limits, and now I'm trying to approach it from what did I like about the old thing, and can I just spend my resources and my interest and fun looking for something that's like new and an alternative, like you said. So that is kind of like my thought process now. So I have come from a position of I've done that before. Like I've tried to track down the collection thing, but now I'm more leaning towards, let the past live in the past as far as gear goes, because it's just so hard to find the older stuff and then
Yeah.
just enjoy the new stuff as it is. Yeah.
Just as far as gear goes, or as life in general goes, let the past die.
Oh, I'm not gonna go that far, or not. We
I
gotta hold
mean,
those L's.
yeah, maybe I do, but
My
yeah,
backpack is full of the chips that have fallen off my shoulder. So
nah, man. I mean, if your EDC item gets discontinued, I think that's potentially inevitable for all EDC items, right? Or
mm,
even us on this earth. So
yeah.
just use your gear when you can, appreciate it, and then you could. So because this raises this whole other issue of like, do you have safe queens, right? Because all
Mm,
your gear is gonna eventually, as much as you try to maintain it, even buy it for life stuff, it's not
yeah.
gonna be brand new all the time. So it's like
And you
you're kind of
can't take it
trading,
with you.
you can't take it
So,
with you, so you're trading off, like, do I use this thing and enjoy it, or do I keep it in good shape? I think we talked
yeah.
about this before in one of the episodes,
Sure. Yeah.
about how like you and Mikey want to keep everything stock in as best condition as possible,
Mhm.
but I don't think we kind of talked about what that looks like in practice, when it could mean not actually using your gear.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah.
know, I did have a breakthrough. Because
Hmm.
a few episodes ago I talked about I got a new watch, and I still had that honeymoon period for the first week. Like I was like wiping it down every day, keeping it like I have a mat on my desk so I don't scratch it on the desk. And
Yeah.
suddenly something clicked, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna wear it, just enjoy it. I like looking at it. If I ding it on something, so what? It's just gonna be
Ah,
part of the watch
nice.
now. And
Nice.
somehow that carried over to other stuff. I've been scratching my stuff left and right because I am also wearing like some jewelry,
Rings and stuff, yeah.
and I'm just dinging stuff and dropping stuff, and for some reason it turned off. That switch just turned off. I am appreciating that I own it like in a complete set, and it's part of my collection now. But I'm not stressing anymore about actually using it. I don't know why I've just come to this realization or that
Yeah.
enlightenment now, but it's nice. It's
Nice.
nice. Yeah,
I hope that sticks around for a while. You're just based now. You're just based.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
So that,
I'm content pilled for
yeah,
some
you're
like
content pilled, and I'm surprised because I think a common story, a common experience for people who finally get over that perfectionism around not the quality, the condition of their gear, whether
the
it's
honeymoon
like their
period.
watch or, yeah, I guess
Yeah,
so. It's usually when some kind of accident forces the first scratch, right?
yeah,
And
exactly.
then they have to reckon with that and come to terms with it, and then
Yeah,
accept it once it's already happened. But this happened
yeah.
before. You didn't have like the, oh, I banged my watch into like a doorknob or something, and now I'm like,
No,
oh
no.
yeah, it looks better with scratches. Cope. But that wasn't you, so that's pretty cool.
That's
um
funny.
so, sorry. The
The
the way
mental
that,
gymnastics.
yeah, exactly. The way that I got over that, my dad, I think I had like a new watch and I was like kind of babying it. And my
Yeah,
dad, maybe I mentioned this before, but he has his single like signature watch that he's worn for years and years and years. And it's what I'm going to remember him by, as far as like just the physical belongings of his.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, and I think I was like kind of telling him, oh, maybe I should just save this for like special occasions, or whatever. It was like my first luxury watch that I bought with my own money. And then he goes like, you're not a kid, just wear the watch. I was like, god damn. And like, I'm literally his kid, but he's like, you're not a kid, just wear the watch. I was like, damn, okay. That like forced me to take responsibility for things and to just not be scared of what could happen, and then just embrace that. And I
yeah.
was like, oh, it's like dropping that dad knowledge without even trying. So
It's yeah,
yeah.
it's bled into so many other things. Like I was keeping my water bottle kind of pristine, and then I dropped it a few times. I'm like, oh, that's fine. Or like I got a new pair of shoes and I got some mud on it. So what? I'll just clean it later. If not,
Mm.
I'll just wear it into the ground and then move on to the next one. I don't know why that it suddenly clicked for me. I don't know where it came from, but I distinctly remember that period, that week or 2 weeks where I was wearing the sumo every day. And then all of a sudden the following week, I'm like, I'm just gonna wear this during the day, no matter what, and switch out to whatever my number two watch at night, and then just keep that process. And then somehow it all clicked, and then it just fell through the other stuff. So it's
Yeah.
been fun. Yeah, it's been nice to just use stuff. It's what a concept, right? Just
I
use your
know.
stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when you can embrace just using stuff, it also lifts the just the mental load of the fear of
Mm,
damage, right?
yeah.
And your little anecdote about the water bottle reminded me of my previous water bottle. Um, I'm tempted to go grab it. It's like on the drying rack right now, but it's fine. I dropped it in such a way that it dented like the top of it, or I guess just the top of it, and
Yeah.
it dented inward. But then it was just perfectly placed for my thumb to like grip into it even better.
Nice.
It made this dent where it was like more ergonomic for my thumb specifically, and it's just like, oh, maybe there
Bonus.
is utility in damage. And then I thought about that philosophically and like applied it to the rest of my life, and like, oh, maybe there are people who hurt me but I learned from it, like whatever, like that's
Right.
not the point of this. But I just thought it was kind of interesting to think about,
I
just
just
generally.
just as you were saying that, I just also realized something. Some of the stuff I got was also post getting the new dog. And I've
Hmm.
realized that if my dog damages the stuff as I'm wearing it while I'm creating memories with that dog, I do not care
You don't care, bro.
about the stuff. If she
Yeah.
scratches my watch, if she dings my ring, whatever, in the midst of playing with her, I am not going to remember the gear at all, but I'm going to remember that moment of playing with her forever. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
become
Yeah.
that's actually, now that I think about it, that's kind of like the overarching sentiment now. If I drop my flashlight in the middle of a walk with her, I'm never gonna remember ever dropping that flashlight because I was
Hmm.
walking. I'm gonna remember that I spent time with her, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, that's been very freeing. It's been very
Good.
freeing to have this new experience and making new memories and just realizing what's important. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we can end this question, but I do want to offer this little quote. This actually comes from a meme, I think, but
Mm,
the idea is basically, uh, to be changed is to be loved. So when you think about it that way, then I
nice.
don't love my gear enough, I think. I think that's what it is. So why don't we move on to the next question here?
Right.
This is from our friend Ant. This is Antoine. He
Nice.
asks, most unnecessary EDC item people buy anyway. Ooh.
First of all, thanks, Ed, for sending in a question, and check out our interview with him. We had a really nice talk
Yeah.
with him very, very early on and carried away. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you're into streetwear or tech wear, Ant is your man. Pretty cool stuff on his channel. But yeah, Mikey, did you want to start us off on this one? I think I went first the last time.
Yeah. Multiples of things that overlap functionality is the biggest sin I have right now. You have no idea how many black caps I have after giving
Mm,
away 10 of them. I still have a
okay.
closet full of black caps, and every time I go out and see a black cap I like, I'm like, I show my wife and she's like, what's the difference between this and the 30 other black caps you have? I'm like, but it's gonna be on camera for the show, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
all of that justification. But I am trying to really avoid overlapping stuff in, because that's crossing into the territory of hoarding for me. If I have
Mm,
the same if I have the same capacity backpack, for example, like I have three backpacks that are all 21 liters, what am I going to do with the other two? I only need this size for one specific overnighter use or like a day pack use. So why am I hoarding the other two instead of covering my other bases, like a larger backpack? Or
yeah.
or like a sling. So I do
Well,
have, like, just an example. I have multiple slings, but they're all different sizes now.
okay,
None of
okay.
them are overlapping in functionality. So that is, I think, I do get it. It's part of the hobby. It's part of the fun of collecting, but I'm really, really trying to avoid the hoarding mindset and the collecting
Yeah.
mindset, and specifically sticking to the covering my bases specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, because I at some point just becomes like kind of mindless consumerism. But I've
Yes.
I've definitely fallen into, or like I've fallen for that illusion of, I don't know what it is, but it's like you have one thing, but then, oh, maybe this slightly specific, slightly different version of the same thing I already own will cure me. No, I'm just kidding. Will satisfy that use case, right?
Will make the pain
And
go away.
yeah, and often I don't think that that actually happens. And what I end up with is kind of this, I think I call it the burden of ownership, where it's like now I have the two things and it's extra decision fatigue of like, which one do I pick? And it's like, oh, the, it's like a, what's it called? Diminishing return. It's a diminishing
Mm,
return of like trying to get something slightly different because
absolutely.
it's not that much better or different than the other thing. And I'm curious, Mikey, you're talking about overlapping only in functionality. What about in like aesthetics? Because you're mentioning black hats. What if you have different color hats? Does that change for you?
Mm, why would I have different colored hats? What's a
Okay,
color?
silly me. Dumb question. I should have known. Just
um,
scratch that, editor, please. Like, just yeah,
but I am remembering, we always go back to the 4 slot watch roll, right? You have 3 watches and there's an empty slot, and you just, something's got to go into the fourth slot, right? just to
yeah.
just to make sure that it's all balanced, it's all in like a nice display.
Mm-hmm.
But aesthetically, ooh, I don't really think of it in that way. I think
Okay,
I have been kind of good about keeping things to the functionality side. But when I get those functional stuff, I get the nicest looking one I can get. You know,
sure,
like
sure, sure.
if I'm gonna get, if I'm gonna get a G Shock, it's gonna be both the exact one I need functionality wise, and it's also gonna be the best version of that thing that I can get.
Mm.
So I don't have to think about, I settled for this just for the functionality, but I'm kind of thinking about the aesthetics of that one that is the exact same functionality. So now I might have two. No, I'm just gonna go for the one that covers both the functionality and also the absolute best I can get it at.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Then my last kind of related question is, when you do amass kind of like a collection of things that are maybe slightly different or trying to not overlap in functionality, do you
Mhm.
find that oftentimes you end up gravitating to the first thing you bought anyway, like
Yes,
the earlier acquisitions, right? So it kind of just
yes.
shows that the subsequent purchases you didn't really need to make,
No, yeah.
even if you follow this framework. So this has happened to me so much, and I think I talk about this a lot in terms of EDC as kind of this um like acquisition phase and then like the pruning phase, right?
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I've noticed, at least for me personally, like I'll acquire all this stuff and then try to see like, oh, here are how my tastes change or evolve. But fundamentally, they don't really change or evolve that much. And it's like
Right?
I just end up getting the thing I started with or wanting the thing I started with. And it
Dude, like
applies to everything, like cameras, like my watches, like my EDC bags, my clothes. Like it all comes back to what I initially wanted.
the
So I think
first
there's
answer
something
is
like
usually
core
the correct
fundamental
one.
in there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Multiple choice first answer, the gut answer is the
Yeah.
correct one. Yeah, like just talking about earlier, 5-year-old flashlight. I've wanted this for years. It's I
Mm-hmm.
have like 3 other lights that are close to this, but this was the original one I wanted. So yeah, back to the start. We're always
Yeah.
going back to the original one we wanted. And
Yeah.
I want other titanium bella songs, but I already have the one that
The
I
42.
originally
Yeah.
always wanted, and that kind of scratched that itch already. So yeah, most unnecessary EDC item people buy. It's the thing that you bought after the thing you bought after you bought the thing you originally wanted.
Uh-huh.
I think
Sorry, I just got a
package. You have a
maybe.
DoorDash.
Uh I got a package, but it's not for me. And you could probably guess what it is. It's hearing protection.
Oh,
Yeah. So my oh, what's your underrated EDC recommendation? It's always hearing protection. Nobody carries it, and I know somebody who could use it, so I just got them as a gift.
nice.
Anyway, cool. So my answer for this, the most unnecessary EDC item people buy anyway, I think for me, just coming from me, I would say luxury watches. Like some people, me included, right? They think that that's like, yeah, that's like a good use of money. I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. Like objectively, it's not really a great use of money. It's fairly unnecessary, and people buy them anyway. So that like actually literally answers Ant's question.
How about we put Ant on the spot and just like luxury goods in general, like techwear
Yeah,
stuff, versus
yeah.
your standard Ray jacket versus an acronym jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really need a luxury one?
I
Do
mean,
you
it
want?
is unnecessary,
Yeah,
but it. I'm not the type of person to think that like everything you do or buy like has to be fully necessary, right? I feel like
yes,
that kind of like strips away your
exactly.
humanity. It's like
Yeah.
we're not robots. Maybe some people approach the hobby in that way where they optimize for efficiency and like functionality and high speed, low drag, like all of that, and like that's
Mhm.
cool. But that's just not for me. That's just not how I want to live my life and engage with the hobby. So
Variety is the spice of life, and
yeah,
yeah,
but
and part of yeah.
you'll build that spice rack, the spice cabinet, but really you just wanted the salt after all, and like all
And the
those other
MSG.
spices you got after, yeah, like you rarely use those anyway, and they don't taste that much different than the original seasoning, I think is what Mike is trying to say.
Sometimes the unnecessary is what is what is important. Sometimes you just want to do the unnecessary thing to realize the important things in life as well. It can be a good or
Yes.
bad thing, right? If you can get the unnecessary thing to realize that you wanted the simple thing all along,
Yeah.
or you wanted the unnecessary thing just because live life, bro. You
Mm-hmm.
want the
Mm-hmm.
cool, nice, shiny thing. If you get enjoyment out of that, it's been worth it, right?
Yeah. And okay, maybe this is not the question to bring this up, but I feel like we should just say it. Or this is something that I've wanted to say. It's like
Mhm.
you don't need to apply all these rules to EDC, to everyday
Right.
carry. Right? Like, dude, like I can help we can help people like start an everyday carry, how to think about things. But then I had a comment on Instagram. I think it was probably a teenager, or on TikTok. It's probably a teenager. They're like, "Hi Bernard, I'm new to everyday carry. Does it count as EDC if I want to carry
Oh,
my cologne?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I do that. Like, who's gonna stop you just because it can't?" I was gonna say it can't start a fire, but I think cologne actually can. Um, like just because it doesn't have an overt like traditional utility to it, or people also say, oh, if you don't carry it in your pockets every single day
doesn't
without
count.
rotating it out, it doesn't count. Like whatever. So I don't know. That's
Who
where I fall.
cares?
Yes, like, whatever,
I'm
bro.
on the other side of the
I know.
world from you. What are you gonna do? Like pocket check me on the
Yeah,
street?
yeah, dude. I don't know. So I think just carry what you like. If you
Yeah.
feel it's unnecessary but you want to, that's also okay. So yeah, all
Don't
the
okay.
answers we just said, like don't let that stop you from carrying them just because we
Okay,
said they're unnecessary.
here's my final thing. Don't let
Hmm.
somebody tell you something is unnecessary if it gives you enjoyment, if it gives you happiness.
Yeah,
Because they don't matter. What matters is you bought it for yourself, you enjoy it, you like it, you use it.
yeah.
That's
And
all that
there's
matters.
utility in that in itself, right? And it's
Exactly.
just they won't be able to see that because they're not you. They don't have your
Exactly.
experience. So, um,
Thanks, Ant.
yeah,
Yeah, just
yeah. Thanks, Ant. My backup answer to that was, oh, whatever the influencer told you to buy. It's like it's probably unnecessary. But
and I
yeah,
bought all of them. Yeah.
I know the irony is not lost on me that that's coming from me in response to this is Antoine. So we can move on to maybe a more, I don't know, like practical. I was gonna say tactical, but like with actual
Mm,
advice I meant. So far underscore Danny asks how to better use a pocket notebook.
okay.
Hmm. So when I think of, so I still use notebooks and stationery, but when I think of a pocket notebook, it acts as kind of a blank canvas, literally, right? For you to use it for whatever. So if you're struggling, I think to figure out how to use a pocket notebook, it could just be that you don't need one, to be honest, but it does help to have some kind of intention behind what you're trying to do on pen and paper. Some
Mm,
people really like that blank canvas because it gives them the space to be creative and without restraint over the format of that notebook, whereas other people need kind of that structure. So it might be a specialized notebook that we can see in like certain types of field notes, for example, or like different Japanese notebooks that have a layout that's catered to that.
Mhm.
um, so those people might benefit from that kind of structure as to know when and what to write and have it all organized. But then other people, they just want that free form kind of appeal. So I would say if you don't know like how to use the notebook better, maybe you need a different notebook that kind of informs and synergizes with your use case. So
Mhm.
things that come to mind is like, I don't know, you're logging, maybe you go to the gym and you're logging your workouts or something. You need to write that down. Then maybe you
Mhm.
just get a notebook for that. Maybe you want to start a journaling practice. So maybe that's a little bit more free form. Um, Maybe you want to curb your screen time. So anytime you think of like, oh, I should like look this up or like buy this thing right now, maybe you just have a blank notebook where you can write down those things to come to later. And then with that space and time away from the instant gratification of your phone, then maybe you can come to a decision or realize, oh, that's not that important to me, or I don't actually need to get that thing or look that thing up, right? So I think there are a lot of ways to use the pocket notebook, but it might be helpful to think of one, what is your overarching intention behind carrying pen and paper? And then two, are you the type of person that needs more direction and structure to enable your output, or do you thrive in a more free-form, openly creative environment? I think that's where I would start there. What do you think, Mikey?
I've I rarely actually use a notebook when I'm out on the go, but I always carry a pen with me because usually sometimes I go to the supermarket or I go to sign off to ship some packages. I'm always filling up forms and stuff like that. So pen is always going to be with me. But at home, I do have at my desk a nice pad with tearaway sheets for the main uses of taking down notes during meetings or stuff I need to remember, to do lists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like that it's easy to rip off, so I can leave notes to my wife since we're not working in the same hours. If I need to leave notes on the fridge or whatever, so this has become the most useful thing for me. Not specifically something I carry everywhere, but it's my most used stationery that's on my desk because it's where all of the writing happens if I need to write something down. So
Mm-hmm.
the use of pocket notebook has turned into use of a pen and paper in general. So I've just distilled the use of where I'm having to write down things the most, and that's my desk. So it's morphed into like a tearaway pad, which I can just stick on stuff. But
Mm.
in when I'm out on the go, I'm just carrying a pen with me just for anytime I need to write something down for errands. And yeah, and everything that you said, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I feel like I had something else to say about this, uh, but maybe I didn't. Let me check my notes real quick, which I didn't write down on pen and paper. Uh,
Nice.
yeah. Um,
Single purpose.
Oh
Oh no,
yeah,
you said
no,
it.
no, no. So yeah. So to Mikey's point, like he carries a pen when he goes out, but not the notebook, right? So I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like, if you're another thing to consider is if you're asking, how do I use this notebook better? Maybe you don't need to actually carry it, and then I just wanted to extend that to like if you carry something, it's fine to carry it just to see if it would be useful. But at some point, if you're still carrying it and you've like never used it and still can't find a use for it, you just don't have to carry it. Just like
Great
retire
point.
that thing. Like,
Yeah.
props to you for giving it a shot, but like you don't don't feel like you have to be married to it, right?
Yeah.
So for Danny, if like the first two frameworks don't really help you find a use case that's enjoyable or like useful for you, then just maybe drop the notebook, right? So that could be an option.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be, I feel like it would be kind of defeating the purpose if we carry a bunch of gear and then feel pressure and obligation to use the things because we own them. Like that seems kind of backwards. EDC should kind of be like, they're there to serve you instead of
That
the other way
sounds
around. Yeah.
that sounds like an unnecessary EDC item that people carry anyway. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. The thing they have no use for and then feel
Right.
bad about not using because they bought it. Yeah. All right. And then for our last question, Big, Bald, and Bearded asks, is there a benefit for everyday tasks of carrying a fixed blade versus a folder? Mikey, I know you carry both, so you're
Yes.
probably better qualified.
Just I had to have some props on screen. I am carrying. I always carry in my lightest setup. This is the Montana Knife Company Speed Goat, and
Mm-hmm.
the alternate right now is this one from Kizer. This is the Smolt. And what I like about the Smalt is it's in 3V, which used to be only exclusively in high-end fixed blades. But to answer the question, why would you carry a fixed blade over a folding knife? Because it's the simplest tool in mankind's history. It's an
Okay.
edge with a handle on it. There's no moving parts. And if you get the right one in terms of combination of materials and craftsmanship, it's gonna last you your whole life. It's not gonna break on you. You just need to sharpen it to maintain it and keep it from rusting if it's that kind of steel. And and I think that would be the main differentiator of why I would carry a fixed blade over a folder. It's just the ultimate reliable tool that will get the job done, and it's like a single purpose utility item that yeah, that's basically does what it says on the cover. It's a knife.
Yeah.
It's no, there's no folding, there's nothing fancy about it. It cuts when it needs to, goes back into the sheath when it doesn't, and that's it. That's literally the start and end of the of what you need a fixed blade for. And that reliability, I think, is the most appealing thing about it, and why you would care about it over a folder.
But for everyday tasks, that's what they specified, you
Sure,
know?
I mean, sure, it might be an extra step to pull one if you're not set up to carry it properly, or if it's a bit cumbersome, it might be an extra step, but it's going to fulfill the same tasks as you would a folder if you find the right fixed blade for you. It doesn't have to be like a full sized one like this one, or not full size. It doesn't have to be like a full tactical bolo or anything. You can, there
Okay.
are fixed blades that are very small. uh CRKT minimalist comes to mind, like a neck
Yeah,
knife.
yeah. That was
So there
pretty
are,
popular.
yeah, there are options for you that make it very, very convenient to carry. It's just, I think it's just a matter of preference at the end of the day. But the main differentiator would be, I think, would be the convenience of carrying one, because with a sheath, it kind of does get cumbersome. Even if this is very light, it's still like this honking piece of kydex to
Yeah.
carry, versus like a really, like if you compare it to the around square base knife, it folds into like a pack of like a stick of gum
Yeah,
almost,
yeah.
form factor. But if that's not a factor, then it's just pure reliability. It's the trade-off
Mm.
the for the portability. Yeah.
Okay. So, as somebody whose preference is not fixed blades, I'm like
Hmm.
the furthest from fixie pilled, I would say.
Sure.
Yeah, there, especially in the context of for everyday tasks, I don't really know the benefit of a fixed blade because I think they really are optimized for heavier duty tasks, and those usually become outdoor or survival applications. So if your everyday tasks involve being in the outdoors in survival situations, then yeah, maybe this is a benefit for you. And I also looked into this, and maybe there are some very niche, fringe types of legal considerations where if it folds, it's not allowed. But if it's a fixed blade that's like open carried that under a certain length, I think
Length.
it was allowed. I think this came up when I was living in New York City. Like
Mhm.
they have very weird laws about knives, and like at some point I was like, you're telling me the only legal knife I can carry is like a 3-inch fixed blade or something? That doesn't make any sense to me. That I have to open carry, like show the entirety of it. Like it didn't make sense. So
Right.
yeah, but to Mikey's point, like there is the simplicity of it, right? No moving parts means no moving parts to fail. So there's that reliability that Mikey's talking about. But then there are just so many trade-offs that I don't think make it worth it for everyday tasks because like maybe there most of them, not all of them. I think the ones that Mikey has, like the MKC, is like very thin, right?
Hmm.
I think because they're designed for like not designed for prying, but they can pry or twist or baton, that kind of thing. They're going to be thicker, right? You maybe don't necessarily need all that. Um, and like Mikey said, carrying them is kind of a hassle. It's maybe not as safe or like the potential for accidents is kind of higher because the blade is more easily exposed. And the optics. Let's consider the optics of
Yes,
pulling
I
out a
was just
fixed
about to
blade
say.
in public versus just like a Swiss Army knife. That's like way different, right? So
I
it
will.
really
Yeah,
depends.
I do have
I
an
am
anecdote.
not very fixed pilled. So yeah, Mikey, you can wrap it up.
Yeah, I was trying to open a pack of snacks in the middle of a theater, and I only had a fixed plate on me. That was awkward
Yeah, dude.
this pulling out this thing out of my sling and take doing this in the
Uh-huh.
middle of a crowd of people. That did not. Ooh, that was kind of spicy. I was just
Yeah.
kind of trying to under the seat open
Yeah,
open
this
up
guy
my
needs his red vines ASAP.
God. I
Yeah.
do, but yeah,
Hmm.
that was really awkward. So like Bernard's point to the optics is, yeah, that's really something you have to consider. Even if it's the smallest one you can carry, even if it's 2 inches, this motion
Right.
is very hot on the eyes. Is what I'm
Hmm.
gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus
So
a tiny Swiss Army
yeah,
knife
two
pulling out like a
hands.
tiny blade.
Yeah.
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 So
So that's the
I'm sure there are people who are watching who do carry fixed blades every day and just have way better justification. So please chime in the comments, correct us if you need to. I'm
yeah.
trying my best here, but yeah, I don't see it personally.
Yeah. I
But
just like
yeah.
I just like fixed blades just for the kind of romanticizing it a little bit, just like the simplicity and finding a good, reliable design in such a simple tool is part of the appeal for me for carrying one. But that's beside the point
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
actually the practicality of carrying one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I appreciate the question, Big Bald and Bearded. You can add beautiful to that one too. So thank you. And if you guys want to have a question answered on the show, you can always go to our Instagram at Everyday Carry. Usually on Mondays, we'll post a story where you can ask us there, um, or send us an email. So we'll jump next into our pocket dumps submitted by viewers to wrap up the show. So what do we got here first? This is a pocket dump from Mitch. Zoom in a little bit so people can see this, but he says, I'm a student slash bushcrafter and knife enthusiast and farmhand. And he says, my EDC just has just about everything to accomplish anything. Damn, all right. I don't mind carrying a lot of gear on me, and everything I have there I use almost every day. If I do have something unnecessary on me, I will get rid of it. This guy is based. So it says, I really like my EDC and I have tried to perfect it over the years. I'm really short on money, so everything that is here is something I can trust and use for a long time without having to buy more gear to replace it. So definitely buy it for life type person.
And he kind of answered and is carrying stuff that is tangential to what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wants something reliable, he wants something available, and he's also carrying a fixie and a folding blade and a Swiss Army
Yeah,
knife.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So specifically, what do we got on here? We got a Leatherman Crunch. You don't see that too often as the
No.
multi-tool.
Yeah.
Then you got the SC Azula in its little sheath here. Then you got the Benchmade Bug Out, Olight Arcfeld UV, and then a Uniball pen, and then like your AirPods. One of my favorite Swiss Army knives, the Victorinox Tinker, classic brass Zippo, lip balm, leather wallet, that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
very expensive. Oh, I missed the what is it? The bit set. Yeah.
Right. And it looks like duct tape and chapstick.
Yeah, yeah,
That's not
yeah, yeah.
listed in the stuff.
Yeah.
So a bunch of classics. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Leatherman Crunch you don't see every day. Izula, all-time classic, fixed blade. Speaking of something that's been popular for EDC for a long time. Same with the bug out, of course.
Yeah. So I don't know if like I'm not super familiar with the crunch, to be honest. I don't think I've ever held one. Like
Same.
is yeah. So
I do
what's
believe it's a locking vise. Like you can there's a
oh you like
twisting.
screw yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is in the picture. You can
Yeah.
twist that thing at the bottom of the handle, and it locks the blades as in place as a vise. That's my
Like the
understanding.
jaws.
Yeah, the jaws exactly.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's my understanding of how this was used. But I've never
Uh-huh.
actually touched or used one before.
I know this one is so niche. I don't know people that carry this. We rarely ever see the crunch in a
Oh,
submission.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But the rest are pretty common, I would say.
Mhm.
Um, like the SE Azula is like a classic fixed blade alongside like the Syracuse Minimalist and the other ones that Mikey mentioned. Bug Out as well,
I
Arkfeld
think
as well.
the only new addition, like the only quote unquote modern addition to this carry, is the Olight, the popular Arkfeld with the UV.
Yeah, this
But
is
other than that,
probably within the last 4 years, and then these are like older.
10 plus years,
Yeah,
yeah, stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. So the man
Yeah.
knows his stuff. The man knows the
Mhm.
reliable stuff, or woman, sorry.
Oh, true, Mitch. Yeah, I have
Yeah,
a cousin that goes by Mitch. Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Anyway, yeah. And then they said I'm really short of money, so everything that's there is something they can trust and use for a long time.
I think the most
And
expensive thing in this carry would be the Bug Out.
the Bug Out.
Yeah,
I wonder if they got that first and then they became short on money after.
pricey boy.
That
Still,
is pretty pricey. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but no, I think that's also a good approach, right? You can see like a full cohesive carry with things that are relatively older releases, so you don't
Mhm.
always have to jump to the latest and greatest and replace things very
Tried and
often.
true
So
versus latest
yeah,
and greatest. Yeah.
yep. So I like this as one of those like realistic practical carries. You know what I mean?
Yes.
People want to
Real
see that too.
man, real everyday, real
Yeah.
world, normal person carry.
Okay. Yeah, but it looks like it's working well. And I think there are a lot of great ideas here. So, especially the Leatherman Crunch. I'm curious if people would find a use for this in their everyday carry.
Yeah,
Seems
Mitch,
like
let us
a
know how you use
mhm,
the crunch. I am
yeah,
curious, just like how people use their Cobra Knipex
mhm,
pliers. What are
yeah,
you? I'm always curious to see the unusual tools and how they're used. So let us
yeah.
know.
So this one is cool. Thank you, Mitch, for that. And then here we got something from Nico Pandacoco,
Mm-hmm. Our
mechanical
man,
engineer from the Philippines. After X years, this is the only time where my care is coordinated due to recently getting the Sabenza. Congrats.
congratulations.
Yes, I hope I'll learn to love it. And if you won't, you can send it to one of us. We'll love it for you. Recommendations for a titanium pen? Hopefully, a brand from Japan and not that expensive. It has to be retractable. Thanks. Ooh, so what
Ooh,
pen would go with this? Because they're carrying an Exceed Designs Tyrant Razor M, the Raylite Pineapple Mini in titanium frag pattern, Chris Reeve Small Sabenza 31 in Magna Cut, sick, and then
fancy.
the titanium Travax Contour. Hmm.
The from Japan qualifier, Nico. That's kind of hard.
That's very hard. Just generally, I would say the machined pen makers, especially ones using titanium in that way, they're all North American, right?
Yeah, big
Like
idea
Big Eye
design.
Designs, yeah,
Yeah,
Tactile Turn, like all of those come to mind. Uh,
I have
so
actually not seen a titanium pen from the big Japanese stationery brands. It's always stainless steel or something along those lines. Titanium
Urushi
though?
lacquer. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't think of them either in
They're
titanium.
masters of plastic and steel. I've
Yeah.
not seen titanium.
So there
So,
is one, but it's not cheap. It's very expensive. It's kind of like a micro brand of pens, and it's a fountain pen, so it's not
oh,
retractable. It's like
yeah.
that. Like the one I'm describing is my Grail right now. It's like $700. I'm just not gonna get it for the
Dang.
foreseeable future. But because I just got the steel German pen, but I think if you don't need it to be Japanese, then the two that I would recommend this one first. The Big Idea Design
Exactly.
Mini Bolt Action
Exactly
Pen
what I would recommend.
in titanium stonewash with the little blue anodized bolt, because then that would completely match your
The
Sabenza
Sabenza.
in finish and color.
Perfect.
So I think that's perfect. $70. It's not That's not cheap, but given the rest of your carry, I think you're the type to spend a little bit more for some quality.
Mhm.
Um, and then the other one, like I was gonna shout out our friends at Tactile Turn. They do have a stonewash pen, but like they're kind of low on options, so they do have the mini, but I think it's not as perfect of a match as the Big Idea Design. And
How about
I've
our
had both, and I use this one still, so they're like I rec both.
how about our friends at Ridge with their stonewash
Ah,
titanium
that is true.
retractable
Yes.
pen, which is what I
Because
use. That's the one in my
sure,
EDC.
sure, yeah. The stonewash doesn't look as dark though. That's why.
Nah,
Do I have one
yeah.
on my desk? No, um, I don't. Yeah, so it doesn't have the exact kind of finish that the Sabenza does. So that's why it didn't come to mind. But yes,
Yep.
there is a more affordable. It's probably around the same, and it's not
85.
small.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Yep.
When
It's a
I
full
look at
size
this,
pen.
yeah. So when I look at this carry, especially you're using like a what is this a AAA size, 14500 size light, like a
Mhm.
smaller carry, I probably would think that you would want a mini pen,
Same.
right?
And
Especially the small Sabenza.
you're not gonna find much better than the, I think, Big Idea design, the mini bolts. Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Because this is the one that I have in my pouch also, like next to my round square
And that has been
baseline and
around.
stuff like that.
Speaking of lasting and being high quality, that has been around for a while also. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is
yeah,
pretty tried and true as well. So
yeah.
worth the
Um,
investment, I think.
And then Nico Pandacoco, because you contribute so much to the show, I tried to find a Japanese titanium pen. And then I came across this listing of the Pilot Cocoon pen in titanium, which is this brown color. But I'm pretty sure it's just like a brass pen or maybe a steel pen that the color is titanium. But then
Mm.
somebody on Reddit said, no, I emailed like the CEO of Pilot Pen USA and asked them,
What?
and she said it's like grade 5 titanium, like really. And then the OP was like, that doesn't sound right. It's like, no, I'll send you her email. And then like he's like, oh, have my upvote. And it's just like, I still don't trust these fools on the internet. Like, I don't think for $35 imported, like $35 imported price US dollars, that they're making a grade 5 titanium full size pen from Pilot out of Japan. I don't think that's the
That's
case.
sus.
Yeah, that doesn't
I
sound right.
think
Uh,
that doesn't sound right.
but I mean, $35 is half the price of this. If you want to take the risk, I wouldn't. So, yeah. Thank you for the submission. I think it's really sick.
I'm still
I
clamoring to
uh-huh.
own my own TRK. I'm saving up for a Umnumzan in Magna Cut in a
uh
lefty. That's my current Grail knife at the moment.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if somehow I got my hands on another CRK small Sabenza, and then that's like the exit knife. Like maybe you know by then we're not doing the podcast anymore, and we're old and gray. And it's just like this is the knife that I, as a teenager, I wanted, and ended up coming back to anyway.
Same one.
I think that's what's just gonna happen,
Oh
right?
gosh, full
Yeah,
circle.
and
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
and I also appreciate the having the utility knife just for the stuff you don't want to beat up your Sabenza for, you know?
Dude, tape is terrible.
Yeah.
It's so annoying to get off of a blade. So
Yeah.
respect.
So,
I respect
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's jump into the last one to close out the show. This is an extra long special, as Mikey called it, extra long. So our last
XL.
pocket dump, yeah, is from Jordan, aka at j.richard. They said they are an accounting controller in Virginia and adjust some daily carry to make life more efficient. And they're building out their everyday carry to help me stay efficient during the day. Hmm.
Couple of our
So
favorites here.
yeah, so we got a whole like Ridge key case, a wallet, and pen matching set with an AirTag attachment as a money clip. So playing into the modularity and the matching materials there. So there's some cohesion with the Ridge stuff. Then we got some of our favorite smaller items. Um, Victorinox's
Classic
Army
SD.
Classic SD, and then the Civivi Kai V. This is a slip joint front flipper with a G10 handle, very fidgety, very interesting design.
And you really
And
like that one, right?
I did like this one, mainly, honestly, mainly for the aesthetics because it is small, so it is kind of hard if you're not super good at like the front flipper.
Mhm.
But mine was like the Ghost Jade G10 with the
Nice.
stonewash, yeah, blade, so cool.
Sick.
But yeah, this one's nice for. I was using this for like this is something you would open red vines in the theater with, not the
Yes. Not
yeah,
this.
not the fixed blade. Yeah, so this thing is really fun and fidgety as well. And then they got this little pouch for it. And what are these, Mikey?
Oh wait, underrated thing about the pouch as well.
Mhm.
He's not showing the cool side of it. On the flip side of
Oh,
it is caddy slots. for the rest of
Uh-huh.
the stuff. So it's don't think
Oh, I
it's
see, I
just
see,
like a
I see.
simple pouch. So it's actually a fully featured.
Oh,
It can
cool.
fit a phone and everything as well. So if you are looking
Nice.
for an inexpensive but very versatile line of EDC pouches, check out Viperade on Amazon or other
Mm.
places. They have a lot of stuff to choose from. So just choose the ones that you think
Uh-huh.
will fit the sizes of all of your stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
So nice,
that's
nice
cool.
pick there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're referring to the Meta sunglasses.
Yeah, are these actually like the camera ones like from
Yes.
Meta?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's right. Yeah, you can tell because of the two camera slots on the sides. So
Yeah,
that's kind
okay.
of like the dead giveaway. I haven't actually seen them in the transition lenses. I've only ever seen them as the sunglasses.
Uh-huh.
So it's cool that they're allowing or that they have the option for normal prescription lenses.
Uh-huh.
But this would be one of two things I really want to pick up for like a travel EDC, just because it's less awkward than holding up a gimbal in front of everybody's
Yeah.
face when you're traveling.
So I'm
So
honestly not too familiar with a lot of wearable tech in the
mhm,
context of EDC.
mhm.
So like for people who don't even know that Facebook or Meta made sun or like glasses with Ray-Ban, like what is this?
Yeah, so it is an actual camera that's from your POV. It's really that, but there are limitations. You can
Uh-huh.
I believe it's only tied in. You can save and stream stuff just to Facebook, but you can save the clips offline
And then you
as
upload
as
later.
actual yeah as and upload
Yeah,
it
yeah.
later. And then I do know there is a limitation to the length of clips that you can record. I think it's 90 seconds or maybe
Mm-hmm.
a couple of minutes, but it's not you're not going to be recording your a full length short
Yeah.
film with these classes. So
Uh-huh.
they are
Whole day
convenient.
vlog. Yeah.
No, yeah, you can they're very useful for hands-free short clips, very social media type clips.
Hmm.
But the alternative I was thinking of for like a travel EDC is an action cam, the Go 3, like this really tiny thing that's magnetic and you can clip onto your shirt or you can
Hmm.
clip onto your hat.
Is that
I,
GoPro or like
no,
DJI?
it's a 360.
Oh, Insta. Okay,
It's a
okay.
360 Go 3, I believe is the exact model. But between
Okay.
that and the glasses, I think they are the most convenient travel or recording type things without, like I said, shoving a gimbal or your phone
Yeah, yeah.
in somebody's
Yeah.
face while you're moving around. Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, nice confluence of congruence of stuff between tech and utility stuff, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
nice selection of pouch. And of course, shout out to the Ridge products. I hope you're enjoying them.
Yeah, yeah. And all for the sake of efficiency. I can see that because they're
Mhm.
not super bulky. Uh, Knife is quick to access,
Nice
and you're
color coordination as well,
yeah.
and
How
that
how
Burt's
more efficient can you
Bees.
get than like a camera in your glasses, bro? Like I'm wearing contacts here when I could be using my glasses as a platform for EDC. Like what am I doing? You know?
Those Burt's
We'll see.
Bees, that Burt's Bees lip balm has seen better days. I think. Isn't that the
Well,
Burt's Bees?
I don't know, but like shout outs to them for not losing this thing for it
Right.
to get this warrant. So
The
yeah, I
full
usually
sun damage, sun damaged Burt's Bees.
yeah. Anyway, thank you, Jordan, for this submission. There's a lot of cool stuff here. I learned something new about the Ray Ban Meta sunglasses, so that's cool, and I hope this is serving you well. I think, Mikey, that just about wraps it up for today's episode. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. So this marks the end of 50 episodes of the podcast, and what a great
And
way to cap off the year.
also 1,000 subs. Really, thank you for
1,000
all the
subs. We
support.
did it. We
We
did it
did
in
it.
under 50 episodes, actually. I think by episode 49, we had 1,000 subs.
That's
So that
right.
was
Yeah,
pretty
that's right.
sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this extra long edition of Carried Away for the holidays. I think we're going to take like a little break for ourselves, and we'll come back into the new year and cook up a lot more fun stuff for the show. But, until then, thank you so much for listening to Carried Away. I'm Bernard.
And I'm Mikey.
And until the next one, the next year,
Next
peace.
year.